Here's the thing everybody gets wrong about our market right now. They see prices going up and they think, wow, buyers are everywhere. It's a feeding frenzy. And that's not what's happening. Not really. The real story on the Chicago Lakefront isn't a demand explosion. It's a supply drought. And once you understand that one difference, everything about your home, what it's worth, when to list, how to buy, starts to make a lot more sense. Let's start with single family homes, the actual houses. I want you to sit with this number for a second. Right now, there are just 84 single-family homes for sale across the entire lakefront communities. 84. A year ago, there were nearly double that. Inventory is down 53%. Here's what that scarcity does. We measure it in something called months of supply. Basically, how long it'd take to sell everything on the market if no new ones came on. A balanced market where buyers and sellers are on even footing, it's about 5 to 6 months. Right now, we're at 1.1 months. That's roughly 5 times tighter than balanced. This is a seller's market with the volume turned all the way up. And that's exactly why prices keep climbing. The median single-family home on the lakefront now sells for just over $1.6 million, up 8% in just 1 year. In real terms, that's about $120,000 added to the typical home's value in 12 months. Now, here's the part most people miss, and it's the whole point. Sales aren't actually surging. Homes that closed are down 6%. It's not that 1,000 new buyers showed up. It's that there's almost nothing for them to buy. Prices are being held up by scarcity, not by frenzy. Zoom out to the whole year and you'll see the same thing. Sales are basically flat, right in line with the last 2 years. Steady demand, meaning a shrinking shelf. If you own a house here, you're likely sitting on real equity gains. And if you're ever thinking about selling, you'd be listing in about as little competition as we've ever seen. If you're trying to buy one, you already know it's tight. The move is to be ready before the right house hits. Financing lined up, agent on speed dial, because at 84 homes total, the good ones don't wait. Now let's talk about the bigger slice of our market, attached. Condos, townhomes, co-ops. For a lot of people on the lakefront communities, this is the market. Same storyline, slightly different volume. Inventory here is down 29% from where it was a year ago, down to about 1,400 units for sale. That puts attached homes at 1.7 months of supply, a little more breathing room than houses, but still deep, deep into seller's market territory, more than 3 times tighter than balanced. And here's a healthy sign. Attached homes are actually selling. Closings are up almost 7%, so it's not a frozen, nobody's moving type market. People are buying. There just isn't much sitting around. Prices reflect that. The median attached home now sells for $490,000, up 6.5%, knocking on the door of $500,000. A couple of years ago, that number was stuck in the low 400s. This has been a steady, confident climb. And year to date, total sales are holding tight around 6,400, same neighborhood as the last 2 years. Demand is durable. Supply is what's moving. If you own a condo or a townhome, your value has quietly grown, and that's the underrated part. If you've been thinking about trading up to a house, you'd be selling into a hot attached market. If you're buying, this is where more of the opportunity lives right now. More choices than single-family homes. Homes are moving, and at $490,000, the lakefront is still a genuine value next to what you'd pay on the coasts. Quick word on the thing everyone asks about, interest rates. The 30-year fixed is sitting around 6.66%. That's basically flat over the last year. But here's what's remarkable. Rates haven't dropped and the prices went up anyway. That tells you how powerful this low inventory dynamic really is. When rates do eventually ease, the buyers waiting on the sidelines come off the bench. And with this little supply, that's more pressure on prices, not less. And if you're renting anywhere in the Chicagoland area, median rent's around $2,200 per month and it's creeping up. The rent versus own math is worth an honest look, especially with how much equity owners have been building. So bottom line, our market isn't hot because of some buying frenzy. It's tight because there's simply very little for sale. And that scarcity is doing heavy lifting on prices. Low supply, steady demand, values climbing. What that means for you depends on which side of the closing table you're sitting on. And honestly, sometimes you're on both. If you want to know what your specific home is worth in this market, not as estimate, the real number, please reach out. That's the conversation that I love having. I'm Rossley, your neighbor on the lakefront communities, and I'll see you next month.
Okay, let's go.